This program is brought to you by the City of Fountains Coaches Association.
Carlos Nelson with Cascade Sports, and today we have the head men's basketball coach at Hampton University. Who do we have here?
Edward Joyner. Everybody call me Buck. Buck Joyner. I'm the head men's basketball coach here at Hampton University, going into my 12th season.
Hey, Coach, give our audience a little bit about your history. And did you play basketball? Go all the way back to high school and then run it on up to where you're at, and give the coaches and the people that help influence you and build your skill set, give them their props real quick.
I guess if you go back to high school, I played for Robert Moore, Bob Moore. He's actually my uncle's and my father's high school coach out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He eventually became the head coach at Virginia State and brought my uncle on with him. Well, he eventually, after my uncle was at Johnson C. Smith, he became Coach Moore's assistant at Virginia State. Then Coach Moore came back to Johnson C. Smith and brought my uncle back with him. And that's how he ended up being where he is now, which for over 40 years, he's been the head coach and athletic director there. But again, I played high school at Harding actually under him. Then I went to Johnson C. Smith and played for my uncle and my father, who was his assistant. To give you a little bit more background about that, because we're kind of an HBCU born and bred family. My dad was with my uncle at Johnson C. Smith. He then became the head coach at St. Paul's University my junior year in college. After I think 10, 11 years there, became the head coach at Livingstone University. And after a 5 or 6 year stint there, he went back to St. Paul's. But during that time, I graduated from Johnson C. Smith as a student athlete there with my uncle. Then I began coaching with him right after my collegiate career. From there, a friend of mine, Kevin Nickelberry, was offered an opportunity to become the head coach at Hampton University. He asked me would I join him now. I think it's the second time that he asked. I decided to become his assistant at Hampton. And after he left Hampton, I was blessed with an opportunity to be the head coach there. And now I'm 12 years in. We're 11 years in, going on to my 12th year.
Run it down now. Run them 12 years down. What was that? What was starting from scratch to where you're at? And what was your lowest point? What was your highest point?
In my time here at Hampton, when you speak about the high points, we've been blessed to have, a lot of success in my time. In my 11 years, we've probably been in 5 or 6 championships games. We won 3 championships. We went to 3 NCAA tournaments. We won a game in the tournament. We went to the NIT. We've been to 6 or 7 straight postseasons, whether it be the NCAA, the NIT, the CBI, or the CIT. Last year, we made the longest run of any HBCU in history, making the postseason run by making it to the semifinals, where we lost on a last-second shot to the University of Marshall at Marshall. Amongst other things, as far as my players graduating and things like that, and the lives that we were able to touch. But those are some of the high points. I think the lowest point was, I think my first year, my first year as head coach of Hampton University, one of probably my best player was killed in an accidental shooting. And again, that led to one of my high points, because that same team that year were able to rebound from that, get to the semifinals of the MEAC, and then the next year we vowed that, in Theo's honor, we would win a championship, and we actually did. But we were able to do a lot of things since then also, at Hampton University. But that's kind of the rundown of my 11 years.
How has the C-19 affected you for 2020 and 2021? I know it caught most of the college teams at the end of the season, but how has that affected your recruiting and your overall program?
Well, I think we all got caught in limbo, and that piece where we had to kind of get our kids away from campus, kind of in a fashion that wasn't normal, where they had to leave abruptly. But at the end of the day, it did give myself an opportunity with my staff and maybe everybody across the country a chance to kind of take a deeper look, at our university and what we were doing, from a basketball and athletic standpoint. We had to kind of revamp everything because of the C19. We can't go out and recruit. Our players were gone for a long time, so we had to kind of get ourselves up to date from a IT standpoint. Now everything that we do is on the phone. It's via Zoom. We had to make sure that we had everything in place that we were able to recruit. Basically not face to face, but online.
So what kind of season did you have last season?
We actually finished, I think, we finished tied for fourth in our conference. Ended up making it to the conference championship. Lost to Winthrop, and we were one game away from the NCAA tournament. We lost to Winthrop University. Again, we weren't happy about the loss, but we did understand that.
What kind of team did you have? Did you have a young team, old team? What?
A mixture of both. We had some young guys and some old guys. We were probably the only team in the country. We were the only team in the country, Division I, to have 2 top 10 scorers.
Tell me this: what style of play? Tell our audience what style of play would you consider your team?
We've been an up-tempo type of team. I think every year of my tenure here at Hampton, over 10, 11 years, we've averaged close to 80 points a game. We've been top 10 in the country in scoring. But again, we've been the type of team that I think what's helped us be successful is that we can play both ways, but we've been able to score the ball, and we're traditionally a strong defensive team.
From a recruiting standpoint, where are most of your athletes coming from?
We're blessed enough that we're able to get them from all over the country. I think, of course, that the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, Carolina, South Carolina, New York, New Jersey. We do get a lot of our athletes from there.
I'm from New York, and your uncle, we're about the same age. See, I ran track for Virginia State.
Okay.
On a scholarship back in 1969.
Yeah.
And the basketball coach there, I didn't realize I've done about 24 of these interviews with HBCU coaches, and they tell me that he was became a Hall of Famer. I think his name was Harold Moore or something, that coach down there.
Was it Harold Dean?
Dean, right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, his son was a good ball player too at the University of Virginia.
He was just starting out. I'm saying back in '69.
Yeah, Harold Dean.
That's what I'm saying.
Harold Dean, he's a CIAA legend.
And I would. He had. I used to have to sweep the floor at halftime for part of my financial aid on my scholarship.
Yeah.
And it's surprising how time flies and how people make their bones. I would have never thought that he would have been like a legend or a Hall of Famer or something like that.
Yeah, well, I was blessed enough to be able to know him personally and have several conversations with him. But, he was one of the best that ever did it, especially in the HBCU part of it.
So what are you looking for 221?
I don't know yet. We have brought in a little bit at every position, all different transfers to freshmen to
That's what I want you to talk about, because I really was trying to blow your damn phone up when those transfers came to you about a month ago, or what have you. Talk about them.
Well, the 2 guys that we got were local guys. Marquise Godwin, about 6'6", 6'7" shooting guard. He's from Hampton, Virginia, but he went to ODU, started there, but decided that it was time for him to leave, and decided that he wanted to come and join us at Hampton University, which was huge for us. Then we got another young man, 7'1" center, a power forward center by the name of Dejor Dickens, who started his career, at the University of Providence, but now he's here with us at Hampton University. So we think that those were key additions. And the good part about all that is this was right before this craze went through. So they didn't get the publicity that some of the guys are getting now. But at the end of the day, they were just as effective where they were, and we feel like they'll be big pieces for us to add to what we're doing.
Oh, great. How important is it for you to have a good administration behind your program, Coach?
Well, at the end of the day, that's the backbone of everything. You got to have people that believe in you, believe in what you're trying to do, and as long as you're playing by the rules and trying to do things the right way, ensure that you're able to do those things to keep yourself successful and hopefully stay successful. So, that's a huge part of what we do, and that's one thing that we've been blessed with at Hampton University, from our president, Dr. Harvey, on down to our athletic director.
Who is your athletic director?
His name is Eugene Marshall.
Is he Black?
Yeah, he is Black.
Because I've been working with Dr. Brandon Martin at UMKC, and we interviewed him about a week ago, and they've got this new Black AD alliance now, and that's why I was asking, is your AD Black? Him and AD out of Auburn.
Yeah, but my AD is actually a part of that alliance.
Well, Cascade Sports is going to be one of the major platforms that they're going to be using to distribute a lot of their information.
Okay.
These Zooms, like you said, this virus has turned business is not as usual, and even with your players and everything, it's much easier. Like yesterday, I had KCK Community College head coach on, and he had two of his players on with him.
Right.
And that's real easy for you coaches to do now, to come on and players get much more exposure, and they don't have to be in no one location to do that. And I think the sports game is getting ready to change more dramatically than most people realize.
I can tell you this, I'm probably as tech savvy as I've ever been in my life. If you could have told me 10 years ago that I'd be sitting on Zoom calls and things like that. And right now, that's my main way of communicating with our players, because we haven't brought them back yet. So that's the way that we check on them, their welfare for one, but to make sure that they're doing the things that they need to do. And ironically, we started classes yesterday. So again, this is the way of communication and the wave of the future.
Hey, you just hit our mantras. Our mantra is Cascade Sports is the wave of the future. That wave is the internet, and the future is now, right now.
Well, you're ahead of the game then. You was there before everybody else.
For sure. Since 2008, we've had that. Now, what I would ask you to do in closing is tell your audience, young recruits, and anybody else what you would say to them in closing. And especially, I want you to give a message to young athletes. What kind of message would you give them and to their parents?
Well, I mean, probably the same thing that I tell, my players. First thing, as young, especially African American athletes, male and female, the first thing you got to realize, especially in today's society, is one test that you're gonna take every day, and you're gonna be judged and looked at every day. And I actually got this from Big House Games. It's called the eye test. And ironically enough, today, a lot of our young kids, different from some a little older than me, you were able to see that if you didn't pass that eye test, that the people were dying for it. People were losing their lives and things like that. And what George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and some of these people have done for us today, has brought up the discussion that, you got to look the part, play the part, and be able to handle yourself within that part. So again, when it comes to picking universities and things like that, you got to put yourself in situations where not only do you see yourself succeeding athletically, but first you got to look at a place that you can see yourself graduating from, and socially you can be you. So when you do that, if you can see yourself succeeding in those two areas, athletics or basketball is what you love to do. So make sure you're doing things in a manner that, when people see you and they look at us, because we're the window to our universities, make sure you're handling things the right way. and people will look at us the right way, especially with the way things are going for HBCUs nowadays, with athletes and everybody else. With there's a big push for you all to come back.
Hey, Coach, I really appreciate having you on the show. And as we say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.